I'll tell you a story that damn near killed me, and actually, it still leaves scars to this day. It's still even painful to even talk about or even think about because the way I operate is that I've always just tried to move forward, and I've never had um, any advantages in my life. I mean, just I've just always moved forward, and it worked for me. So I don't really think too much of the past, but this telling the story, just getting into it is already kind of giving me anxiety. And it goes back, if you've been watching my videos, you know I got 4 kids, married, and I'm 45. And this goes back to when my oldest son was maybe like around 2 years old or so. And my wife now, her and I weren't married yet, and we were struggling big time financially. Okay, she wasn't really working. She was taking care of our baby, and I was working it. And this is the thing, I was building up my business at the time because when we got together, I had my business, but I wasn't really doing anything with it. I wasn't really making any money. So now I have a kid. So now I'm like, I gotta make some money. I gotta do something, right? So if you've built a business, or if you know anyone who's built a business, in most cases it doesn't happen overnight, unless it's not like those things you read in the paper or read in Forbes magazine or USA Today or whatever you read. It's not, most businesses don't just start up and some kid or person makes a couple hundred grand overnight and they're a big success. No, most first of all, statistically, most businesses fail. I think it's like after within 1 year, it's like, I forgot, I don't even know the stats exact, I haven't looked at them in a long time, but it's like 60% fail within the first year, and within 5 years it's like 95%. It's like if you start a business, you're going to fail. So let me just add this: if you're planning on starting a business and you haven't yet, start one right now, because that one's going to fail, and you learn the lessons from your failed businesses to ultimately succeed, and that's ultimately what you want to do. Um, but this is going back, so I'm just building up my business and I'm trying to build up my clientele, and my incoming money is not matching my outgoing money. I mean, so we're going deeper into debt. At this time, we're going deeper into debt, and we didn't have enough money for our car. I mean, I had a car and it needed repairs. It was just, our house was a mess, our car was a mess. We didn't have money. I mean, trying to get money together for groceries, just trying to keep it together. And my girl, my now wife, but my at the time she's my girlfriend, she was getting a lot of pressure from the outside that essentially I was a loser. I mean, everyone thought I was a good guy, because I was a good dad, and I was always good to her. But she was getting a lot of pressure from family and friends that it's like, move on, cut your losses. This guy's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. And I gotta tell you, um, if you've ever been through anything like that, um, it hurts and it cuts deep. It cuts deep. Now, in hindsight, I can tell you that's probably one of the things that drove me. One of the things. I mean, I always had my own motivation, but that was definitely fuel. That was definitely fuel. And the thing is when you have so many people doubting you, and I'll tell you a flip side of that. But it starts getting to you, and the problem is when you're hitting a problem and everything's kind of feeling like it's collapsing and the walls are closing in on you. It's hard to focus, let alone when you have people who are you know kicking you, who are kicking you while you're down, who are throwing shade at you, who are talking trash about you, who are telling your girlfriend or your wife that, hey, they can do better and they should be doing better. It's like that stuff hurts. But I'll tell you this too, is going back now. This is now the story I'm going to tell you is afterwards, and I'll finish it and that too. But some years ago, I was talking to my brother, and I said, there was a family friend who was an older woman. Um, I I said to him, I said, so and so thinks you and I are losers, and she's got no respect for us. And he agreed, because it was absolutely true. And I said, but think about it this way. I said, you and I have no expectations with anyone around me, with anyone around us. Because, and what I found out later on is that people wrote me off. People in my own family wrote me off. Not in the sense that they didn't talk to me. I'm saying that they just thought I was a loser going nowhere. And I never, and I can tell you this, I wasn't a bad guy. Like I wasn't doing anything bad. I was working hard. I was busting my tail. I was working. I made it a point that I was working all the time. I was working all the time. I was working all the time. And I made it a point to make that known. And I thought at the time, I thought that people actually thought, like, people respected that. But in hindsight, I realized that people just looked at what was going on the outside. Our house was, not all that great, and our car wasn't very great. Our car was breaking down, and we didn't have, a whole lot of money for food or doing anything. And people judged that. And I'm not even disagreeing on the judgment. I mean, okay, fine, but I thought people were, I thought those around me knew that, I was busting my tail, but they didn't. I found out later on that people thought I was going nowhere, and people were shocked when ultimately I kind of broke out of it and came up a little bit. But here's the thing, one thing I noticed, one thing I always did, and one thing I noticed that, people who succeed do is they'll work during the day and they'll bust their tail. But I've always found that a lot of the magic happens at night, working late into the night. Those ideas come, and sometimes when you're dog tired and it feels like everything's going against you, and you're working because it's like you have nothing else to do. What are you going to do? Sit around? You don't have enough money for your bills. You don't have enough money to eat. You don't have enough money for your family. So what are you going to do? Watch TV? No, you're going to work. You're going to do something. You're going to do something. So what I found in those times is those times where I got my breakthroughs. I thought, okay, well, I can pitch this product, and I can, turn this product this way, or I can do this in a mailing, or do this in a promotion. And that's where a lot of those ideas came from, is working late at night. And I can tell you this, the people who become elite, the people who become, big time, and I'm not just talking about the Sam Walton and Mark Cuban and all those guys that I'm even talking about the smaller guys that you never heard of, the multimillionaires you never heard of. Those guys, when they're coming up, they work late into the night. And especially when they got problems, they work late into the night. And I assure you this, and we're going to wrap up on this. This is going to be a shorter video. We're going to wrap up on this. I would challenge you to two things. Number one, if there's anyone who's made a big success of themselves, whether it be in business, in a career, whatever it might be, I assure you they have stories where they work late into the night doing stuff, working, coming up with stuff, studying, whatever it might be. They work late into the night. They didn't just show up at 9, check out at 5, and become a legend in their little world. They worked day and night till the hours ran out. They worked day and night. And I could tell you this, and the second thing I would say is that if you're facing things, which I heard this before, and this is absolutely true, that you either just went through a crisis, you're about to go through a crisis, or you you either just went through a crisis, you're currently going through a crisis, or you're about to go through a crisis. Okay, so here's the thing. So either way, you're either dealing with something you just did, or you're about to. And I would say this. I would say that when you're dealing with something, just work till the hours run out. And I know there's people who are going to say, oh, well, you can't. You got to have balance. You have quality of life. You know what? I got to tell you this. When shit's hitting the fan, when everything's going to hell, there's no such thing as balance. What are you going to do? Go for a stroll, go for a walk, and go to the beach? What are you going to go on vacation when you have no money? What are you going to go to dinner when you don't have enough money to buy groceries? What are you going to do? Relax and watch TV when your power's going to get shut off in 2 days? You know what I mean? Like so when you're going through a crisis, there's no work-life balance. Okay, when you make some money and you get a bonus, or you get a whatever it might be, you get a $15,000, you get a $20,000, or you get a $100,000 windfall. You pay off some bills. You move forward. Maybe you pay off your house. Or you get a house. Whatever it might be. You get a new car. You put some money in the bank. then you can have some work-life balance. That's fine. But when you're going through it, there's no such thing as balance. What's the balance? They're gonna shut off your electricity, so you're gonna watch TV and relax, play some video games? No, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Get to work. Stay working. When you solve your problem, you can take some days off. But for right now, work. That's the people who became elite. That's what they did. That's what they did, and that's what you need to do.